Hey everyone. Done with another week, moving forward toward the middle of the class, which seems impossible, but here we are. We had interviews, which for the most part went pretty well, and I appreciate you working with each other because I know that it's difficult to hook two lives together so you can try to do some assignment. And one of the hardest things as a teacher for these many years has been getting people into groups, and physically, literally in a classroom, trying to get people to move into a circle together is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And they do not teach you how to do that in graduate school. So I appreciate you all contacting each other, creating the questions, and then putting it together in some form. Some worked better than others, just because apparently some of you have technological skills in certain ways. And I think Carrie and Danielle's interview with a side-by-side discussion was at Marcel. Somebody's decided they're going to cut trees outside, and Marcel is very much against that experience. So if you look at Danielle and Carrie's, you can see something that worked really well, but I was just looking for answers and questions that work, that help with author persona, with information about writing, and about that all-important self-promotion. In terms of the newsletter, we had some really nice starts, but a lot of you sort of worked around the prompt, and I just had to do a lot of work in the Turnitin document or on the side in the comments about what you could do for the final project. This literally fits into your final project. There's a place where it says, put in your newsletter. So I left you the hints. One of it is if you were doing a launch, and that's what this newsletter was for, presenting your launch. It wasn't about presenting you or something you're selling as much as you have a book launch and you are going to be selling it on a Kindle ebook, you're going to be at the store down the street, or both. You could list your readings. You could link to those bookstores or those online booksellers. You could link to your website. You could link to your title. You could do a cover reveal. You could have your picture, and you didn't even really need to have those things in there, but you could say, this is where my picture would go, and this is I will be linking to this book in parentheses or something like that. And so for your final project, if you do not have any technological skills, you can just say, image here, link here, bookstore map here, giveaway link here. So really think of this as a newsletter that you would send out, not the summary of a newsletter or the outline of a newsletter, but a real newsletter. And I think that you'll go a long way toward making it something you could literally use when you're done with this class. Okay, we have bios, and we also are starting to think about social media. For the bios, I think it's next week or the week after, but very shortly after this week, so it's probably next week, you have you're going to be able to get input from the class about your bios. So I really want you to think about the variety of bios that are out there. I gave you a link to Kirkus Reviews, there's a great list there about how, what to do and what not to do. I find this is a personal thing. So just know that everyone has kind of a reaction to bios. I hate really cutesy, ironic, meaningless bios that maybe other people really like because they think they're edgy. Unless the journal is asking for such give us your really edgy, weird bio. Fine, send it out. But I want a bio that tells me, I usually like to know what the person has done. If I'm picking up a book, is this book from a writer with some cred? is this a real life story based on this person's situation? Should I, why am I picking up this book, or why am I reading this story? Who is this person? And really, literally, who is this person? I want to know. I don't want to know something that, well, and I'm also not a YA reader. I'm not YA. I'm so far from YA to be OA. Old adult. That, you know what? That's a darn fine grouping. Let's start writing for that. I'm an OA writer. I'm not a young adult, new adult. I'm an old adult. So I also will read your bio knowing that you are writing for 16-year-olds. So that I'm keeping that in mind. But if you're looking for a variety of bios, or a bio that really presents your book, think about word choice, experience choices that you put in. If you're trying to market a romance, you don't want to necessarily put in all your quantitative analysis work experience. And it just doesn't seem to go. So you want to cull your information to fit what you're trying to do. So think about that. All right, I'm going to go walk my dogs. The tree thing is just really throwing them over the edge. I'm also taking them to the groomers. I'm sure you're very excited about all this. This is called TMI. But I just really encourage you to keep going. We'll pass the hump of the class, and I think we're finally all getting into the swing of it. Okay, thank you for listening. Maybe you have to this bitter end, and I look forward to reading your work.